Welcome to my bedroom. Normally you gotta get a wedding ring on this thing if you want to see the inside of this place, but Nate's watching football, so here I am. I want to talk about the movie Children of Men. Near the end of the movie, there's this scene after the baby's been born, and everyone realizes in this building that there's a baby. And everyone stops. I mean, there's a war zone. People have been fighting and hiding and cowering and terrified and horrifying and horrified. And then suddenly they realize there's a baby, and they stop. I mean, there's this scene early on where it's like everyone's like got this angelic look on their face, and a person just gets shot and falls down, but no one flinches, no one stops because there's a baby. And then as it continues on, the soldiers realize there's a baby. The fish activist terrorist people, they realized they were going to fight and try to take the baby. Like, then they just saw the baby. It's like, no, there's a baby. We have to stop. And then so they didn't fight. And then you go down and you see the soldiers, and the soldier sees, it's like, that's a baby. And they just say, cease fire, cease fire. And everyone stops. They just want to see it. It's like that there's a baby there. And then so they just let the Clive Owen character and the name of the actress, that's the mother, who I don't know because she never got another film that I've seen, they just let them pass through. It's like, because there's a baby. And it tells the film's value. It's a kind of statement of the radical value of one individual. Now, that was the only baby born in 20 years that we know of, and so maybe it's a little bit different, but the value is that one person is worth giving up everything, even if it's not a baby. It's just one person. It's like you watching this film, you are that valuable. And when Clive Owen, his character, realizes that there's a baby being born and there's a person, it's a person, he says, forget politics, that gets pushed aside. It's like, you guys have your issue, and there might be very valuable issues, but that's a person. That person is more important than all your political issues. And the soldiers that are fighting, it's like, hey, we're in the middle of a fight. And the refugees that are watching the fight, it's like, there's someone that gets shot and no one flinches. It could have been because there's a person. There's a person there. It's a person. And so everything stops because that one person is worth more than my life, is worth more than these political issues, it's more than this current fight we're in the middle of, because it's a person. And that value connects to the Christian story, is that what God would give for one person is just the same thing. Like, I imagine watching the film as if all the people going around are angels, and then there's a person. Not to say angels aren't people, but we'll just say it's you. Is that there's this big classic stuff going on. It's like, oh, all this stuff going on in heaven, and then suddenly you show up, and it's like, it's a person. And nothing wouldn't be done for that person, to save that person, to care for that person, to love that person, to celebrate that person, is because it's a person. And even if we recognize that I'm not so great and all that, is that the value placed on one individual is greater than everything in the world. And then we'll contrast that or blend that with the value of Wrath of Khan. At the end of the movie, Spock gives his life for to save the crew. He needs to sacrifice his life to reconnect the engineering thingamabob, in Star Trek jargon, in order for them to light speed or warp speed away. And he says at the end is that the life of the one is, or the life of the many is more greater value than the life of the few, or the life of the one. And I think that it's possibly, when used carelessly, one of the most evil philosophies of the world, is that, hey, you minority people over there, you're going to be massacred for the greater good. But that's not what's happening in the film, of course. In the film, Spock himself is giving up his own life for other people, with the Christian connection being pretty obvious of what Jesus is doing for the world, as Jesus gives his life so that, well, this ship of the USS Earth and everyone in it, it can be saved. So you have Children of Men with this value of the radical value of the individual, and then you have this Wrath of Khan with this individual utilitarianism, where this I give up, I sacrifice for others. And the Christian connection is pretty clear, is that you have this character Jesus in the Bible. I mean, regardless, I think he's an actual person, but you don't have to, because it's still a story, and you can still appreciate and analyze the story. You have character Jesus, and we're just calling him character in case you're not a Christian and you're watching this. So you have the character Jesus, and in the story, he's more valuable than everything in the world. I mean, the world is basically a box filled with stuff that he made, and he's outside of it, but he's much more valuable than the world. Infinitely so. Because, I mean, the world, as we know, everything we know, it came from Jesus, it was made for Jesus, it's his, he would be more valuable. And then you have this radically valuable individual born into this world for the specific purpose of giving his life to save the world, which blends the ethic of Children of Men with his radical value of the individual, and Wrath of Khan with his individual utilitarianism, where Jesus being more valuable and precious than the world, giving himself for the world. I hope that's something to think about.